Good evening. This is CTV News. I'm Denise Douglas.
And I'm Byron Scott. Thank you for joining us tonight. And we begin tonight with big transportation news. Governor Larry Hogan has announced a plan that would add 4 lanes each to 3 major area highways. They are the Capital Beltway, I-270 and 295 from Baltimore to the District of Columbia. Officials say it would be the largest public-private partnership in North America. All of the lanes will be express lanes, express toll lanes. The governor says the aim is to ease the region's infamous congestion.
These 3 massive, unprecedented projects to widen 495, 270, and 295 will be absolutely transformative and will help Maryland citizens go about their daily lives in a more efficient and safer manner.
Well, as we've seen these in other areas, especially Virginia, which has them on their 495, it's made significant improvements in the flow of traffic. So, the good thing about express toll lanes is that they benefit the people in the general purpose lanes as well when that traffic moves over to them. So people will see a real difference.
And Maryland still needs the approval of the feds before making any changes to 295. As for the cost, officials say more than $9 billion. That will come mostly from the private sector. As for when any construction will begin, they say, at least a year and a half.
Well, Byron, the Hogan plan is massive, costly, and sure to cause controversy. Bruce DePoit has reaction.
For the many thousands of Maryland commuters who sit in traffic on the Beltway, on I-270, and on the Baltimore-Washington Parkway each day, the governor's plan offers the potential for real relief. The $9 billion proposal to widen all 3 roadways, one of the most ambitious ever offered. But in the communities that back up to the Beltway, there is concern. In this Silver Spring neighborhood, homes and schools are just feet from the highway, along with a hospital and a community center.
I mean, everything just kind of backs right up. You can see the Beltway right behind the senior center, right behind the schools and the hospital. We're a couple houses in, but there are definitely houses where it's right in their backyard. So their property would probably be cut into.
But I would be very nervous if I was a homeowner along here, certainly. And in general, I think it's obviously going to go a long way in alleviating congestion, potentially. But we need to look at alternative forms of transportation.
Montgomery Councilman Mark Elridge says Hogan should be lauded for proposing investment in needed infrastructure. But he says the governor's plan is overkill.
There's only traffic in the peak direction. So the idea that you would add 2 lanes to both sides and create massive emptiness on one side, even emptier than it is today, is just a waste of capital. So they ought to be looking at reversible lanes. There's an equity issue that only certain people are going to get the benefit because they can afford it and everybody else is stuck in hell. There's something fundamentally wrong about that.
It will take many years to find the money that Hogan's plan requires to do the environmental reviews and all the rest, with no guarantee the plan ever moves forward. But the good news for Hogan, who's on the ballot next year, is that commuters and voters will at least give him credit for trying. Along the Beltway in Silver Spring, I'm Bruce DePoit, CTV News.
Thank you, Bruce. And we continue our discussion with about this plan that could cost $9 million. I should say $9 billion.
$9 billion.
Yes.
Speaking more about that is John Townsend of AAA Mid-Atlantic. Thank you, sir, for getting in here. And talk to us about your reaction to this. Is this good news for some, bad for others? What's the overall take on this?
Well, it's good news for most commuters in the area because it will save time. And the fact of the matter is that the state of Maryland has fallen behind the 8 ball in terms of transportation projects. So this is akin to what Virginia did with the express lanes on 495, on 95, and soon on 66. So this is the only way you can compete and keep up and keep your competitive edge, especially given the fact that the wealthiest counties in the United States are located in the Washington metro area. Of the top 10 wealthiest counties in the country, 6 of them are in Virginia. Only 1 is in the state of Maryland. And Montgomery County is also at the edge of that, but it's number 11. The fact of the matter, we have lost ground economically in the Washington metro area, and we've lost and ceded ground to Virginia because they have improved the transportation system and we haven't. Other than the ICC And now you have the purple line that's on the table, but this is a paradigm shift and a game changer too, which will make us competitive with Virginia again. But even beyond that, forget about the economic development standpoint. Think about how much time we lose being stuck in traffic in Maryland. I-270 is the worst bottleneck, not only in Maryland, but in the entire Washington metro area. I drove through there yesterday going to Rockville. It took me an hour and a half trying to navigate that area. The spur at 270 and the Beltway has the worst gridlock, and it's increased 30% in the last 5 years. It is unparalleled, and this will improve it. And in spite of what the gentleman said about the 2 lanes on each of the roadways, or 4 lanes actually, this is the only way you can shift the paradigm. And unfortunately, you have to pay to use the toll roads. This is a $9 billion undertaking. It'll probably end up costing 11 or 13 because Marylanders are famous for suing and for doing environmental studies, what you should do. But remember, it took us 60 years to build the ICC and 30 years to build the purple line. I hope it doesn't take that long to build these 3 projects.
Okay, you kind of alluded to it a little bit there, but is this expected to actually ease congestion? We were looking at some video there of highway traffic. Things weren't so bad there, but we know it can get pretty bad.
Well, you're looking at 3 of the worst roads in the Washington metro area in terms of bottleneck, in terms of congestion. We're talking about traffic delays. In the state of Maryland, we lose about 68 hours a year being stuck in traffic. That's a week and a half of vacation time. That's a week and a half of time you can spend with your kids or spend playing tennis or whatever you like to do or going to church. But you're losing that time in a way that is unconscionably bad, which is being stuck in traffic. It is not acceptable.
Will this benefit everyone or just those who take the express lanes? You mentioned that someone you know who takes express lanes.
Yes.
So what's the deal?
Well, let me tell you how it benefits all of us. This was a surprising benefit of the express lanes in Northern Virginia, because those people who can afford to utilize the toll roads will use them. It frees up traffic, and it eradicates congestion in the free lanes too. So it has a positive benefit. So those who want a quicker, more predictable commute can use the toll express lanes, and those who ride in the existing lanes, their commute will improve too. That's what we've seen in Virginia, and no doubt that's going to happen in the state of Maryland too.
Okay.
That's the benefit none of us foresaw.
Quickly, John, property. Will people lose property as part of this expansion?
You know, it's one of the most unfortunate aspects of building road projects or infrastructure is that someone will lose their property. It'll be wiser for a person to get the market value of their home and then relocate than to fight it. Some people think if they hold out, they'll come out ahead, but get a realtor, get an attorney, and negotiate your price.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, John Townsend, as always.
It's the price of progress, I'm sorry.
There you go.
I hate that part. We lost our home when I was a kid because of that.
Really?
Because they expanded the roadway. So I know the pain of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, John, thank you very much. On other news, a man is in custody for only 2 hours, was found dead this morning. The 57-year-old inmate arrived at the Department of Corrections around 4 a.m. today. Officers found him unresponsive in a bed a few hours later. CPR was performed, but medical professionals were unable to revive him. At this time, we do not have the name of the inmate. However, we do know that prior to his death, he faced second-degree assault charges.